Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. Today we're going to talk about how to fix a couple of image issues. I'm going to show you how to fix up a scratchy background on an old picture. I'm going to show you how to take the red eye out of some pictures. Sometimes whenever we use flash photography, the eyes will get red. I'll show you how to take that out. We'll do a little bit of color correction, but mostly we're going to talk about resolution, image resolution, DPI and PPI. Now, unfortunately, Pixlr is not a very good tool for determining image resolution. You just kind of have to eyeball it. There's no menu where we can look up what the resolution of an image is, which is, unfortunate. But I might open up Photoshop just to show you guys kind of what it looks like in Photoshop. But let's go ahead and open up some images really quickly so we can take a look at the difference between high resolution and low resolution and kind of talk about what those terms mean. All right. So the resolution simply refers to the size of the pixels in the image. Now we know that an image is made up of hundreds or sometimes thousands of pixels going across the screen and going up and down the screen. Now the amount of pixels up versus the amount of pixels across, that makes the resolution, or sorry, the aspect ratio. The resolution is the size of the image, or the size of the individual pixels themselves. And remember, pixels can only have one color. So if we zoom in really far, one pixel is only going to have one color. And if we see, we have a bunch of different pixels in here, but they're all blocky and gross looking. This is a low resolution image, whereas this is a higher resolution image. Still not quite high resolution. Let's open up a new image and I'll show you a different example. So here we have a high resolution image versus a low resolution image. Now they have these little these numbers down here: 300 DPI, 72 DPI. Now DPI stands for dots per inch. Now dots per inch is a measurement for printing, right? So if we were to print this picture off, we would want to have 300 dots per inch on the final printed product. Now PPI is pixels per inch, and that's for screen viewing. So if you're looking for a picture that you can print, you want to make sure it has a high DPI. 300 is print quality images. If you're looking for something that you can put on a website, you're looking for PPI. Okay, so that's a low resolution image versus a high res image. Let's take a look at what should we do next? Oh, you know what? I'm going to open up Photoshop very quickly, and I'm going to show you. The difference between Pixlr, which we've been using, which is free. I'm going to show you the difference between Pixlr and Photoshop and how much easier it is to actually find high quality images and work with them in Photoshop. Cancel. Okay. And let's let it boot up for a second. Okay, so I'm going to open a new picture. I will open up, let's see, I'll just open up this image really quickly. This is an image we're going to play around with later. We are going to actually work on, I'm going to get rid of that grid so you don't have to worry about that. This is an image we're gonna fix up the scratchiness around the edges. Now notice this isn't a very good resolution picture. It's 261 pixels by 193 pixel, and it's 72 pixels per inch, or PPI, 72 PPI, which is not a very good resolution image. If I was to go in here and look at the image size, I get a lot more information. I can see that it is 3.625 inches wide by 2.681 inches tall. Its resolution is 72, and we're looking at pixels per inch. And I could actually change the resolution here. Watch what happens when I change it to this. Now it blows the picture up, and everything gets kind of blurry. Now the reason for that is because Photoshop will force it to try to make it bigger, by doing what's called resampling. So it will resample the image to try to make it more like a higher quality. It'll kind of guess as to what pixels should look like whenever you resample. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time in Photoshop. Just that's a place where you can check your actual resolution. Let me go ahead and close that. We'll go back to Pixlr because that's the tool we are using. All right, so I guess the whole main point of this entire spiel is make sure you are finding high quality images to work with. You do not want to work with low resolution images. And it's really just as easy as, whenever you're looking for your image on Google image search, just type in high res next to your search terms, and usually you'll find high resolution images. You want to stay away from the hundreds, the 266 by 190. That tells me that's going to be a low resolution image. You're usually looking for something 1080 or above to work with, so that way you don't have any issues. All right, let's do something really easy and fun. Let's fix up some Redeye. So I found this picture here, and it is a Redeye picture. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. And notice that she has really red demon eyes. There's a really cool tool in Pixlr that we can use to fix that up very quickly. It's this Redeye reduction tool. All we have to do is click on that and then just kind of draw on the pupils. And it very, very quickly just takes out the red eye. Now we can increase or decrease the tolerance if it doesn't quite work for us. Let's set the tolerance way high and see what happens there. And it didn't really do much. That's pretty clear red eye. So, but it's very quick. It's just, a couple clicks and then the red eye goes away. So this is something that you're going to want to know how to do. I know it's really simple, but not a lot of people know how to do it or know that this power exists, that this tool exists. So there's some red eye cleanup for you. All right, let me open up this scratchy picture again, and I will show you some cool techniques for cleaning up the background of an image. This is a low resolution image, so this isn't going to be as clean. But we can do something called, we can use a tool called the clone stamp tool. Now the clone stamp tool is really cool. Basically what happens is when you grab the clone stamp tool, you need to set an area to clone, right? So control click on the source point. What that means is when I hold control and I hit click, it's basically just going to copy the pixels around that area. And then when I start painting, it's going to paint those pixels, or what it thinks those pixels look like, into that area. Now the more I sample, the more it's going to look better. And sometimes if you get too close to the harder objects in the picture, it's going to start grabbing parts of the image you don't want. Let me go ahead and grab a clean selection here and try to clean those up. But the clone stamp tool is great. The clone stamp tool is awesome because you can actually use this to delete or get rid of parts of an image that you don't like. Like if we want this to just be a clean background with no trees, we can start getting rid of the trees in this background if we want. Now, an easier use of this is just to clean up a scratchy background like this. But again, you can use this to get rid of posts in a scene that you don't want, or if someone is in a scene that you don't like and there's a pretty consistent background behind them, you can use the clone stamp tool to clean up the background and make it look a little nicer. So the clone stamp tool is something you're going to want to play around with pretty extensively because it provides us a lot of opportunity for fixing errors in a picture. Now if you take this technique, the clone stamp technique, to clean up old pictures, and then you take you recolor this picture and add some color to it and change the color properties and resaturate it, and let's see, there's all kinds of stuff. Color correct it. Ooh, see, you want to stay away from unnatural color shifts like that. I just kind of created an unnatural color shift. So we're going to want to blend This takes a lot of skill to get good with, but if you play around with it enough, you will start actually, oh, see, now it's going over into that little girl's head. If you look, that's where my sample is. So I need to resample it and then go a little bit more. Anyway, you can play around with it and clean up a background of a picture. Play with the sculpt tool as much as you possibly can. There's also the spot heal tool. The spot heal tool is great. Now it doesn't work for really detailed parts of an image, but you can take stuff like this and blend it a little bit more. You can very quickly just kind of clean up an image with the spot heal. It just kind of guesses for, makes pixels a little bit more, I don't know, less defined so that it's not as much of a problem. You can burn into an image, basically just make the image a little bit darker, give it more detail in certain spots. The sponge tool it kind of degrades the image. You can play around with that too and see if you like that. I don't, so I'm going to get rid of it. Let's go back to my history. All right. Let's see. We have the dodge tool, which will allow you to kind of, what it's doing is it's kind of pushing pixels out of the way. And it sounds kind of weird, but it's, yeah. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff. Pinch tool, which allows you to make weird stuff like that. Or the bloat tool, which allows you to do weird stuff like that. Sharpen and blur. These are really cool. Now sharpen, you want to be careful with sharpen. The temptation is going to be to use sharpen on a really low resolution image to try to make it look better. The problem is, if you overuse it, then they start getting really gross looking, right? And you start not understanding what you're looking at. So sharpen should be used only really in the context of where you have a blurry image, not necessarily a low resolution image, but a blurry image that you want to kind of tighten up. Speaking of blur, you can blur images with the blur tool, just make them a little bit blurrier. This is something that I use a lot with backgrounds. If I'm taking a picture of somebody, let's actually look at this one. I would use the blur tool to kind of blur the background behind them to kind of bring the person into focus a little bit more. This isn't really a good image for that, but just kind of brings the person into focus a little bit and makes it a little easier for them to stand out, and you can change the strength of the blur and everything else. But anyway, so the whole point of this is just to get you thinking about how to fix issues in an image, how to fix pictures and improve them in some way, because in a little while we're going to start looking at improving photographs professionally. We're going to be doing this for senior pictures in an assignment coming up soon. So I want you to practice these techniques, try to take bad images and fix them. So for the assignment, I want you to do 3 images. I want you to do 3 pictures. I want you to fix some Redeye, right? And I want the original and your fixed version. I want you to find an old picture and try to clean it up as much as possible. Okay, that's your second one. And then I want you to bring in a picture of a portrait, and I want you to fix that portrait up as much as you possibly can. So blur the background, fix Redeye, just kind of make it as professional looking as you possibly can. So do those 3. Those should take not very long. Actually, you know what? We'll just blend the Redeye one in. So I want you to fix a picture, fix an old picture, and I want you to take a new picture, a new portrait of somebody, and I want you to blur the background and bring them into focus, color correct, fix the Redeye, all that kind of stuff. So we'll do those 2 things. And again, I want your originals, and I want your fixed versions of these work. All right, so I'm going to stop talking now and let you get started. And if you have any questions, please ask, and thanks for paying attention.